for one of my clients, we were saving them $75,000 a year by adding just these three agents. $75,000.
Hey, welcome back to the show. I am your host, a fellow freelance marketer and fractional CMO. And today I have brought some of our unicorns into this podcast to share how they're building custom GPTs and AI agents for their clients in their client work. And this is really to demonstrate that embracing AI can make your business better. It can help your clients, and it's the way moving forward. And it's so insightful to learn from other people what they're charging, how they're building it, the mistakes they've learned, because this is how we get better, right? This is how we shortcut everything. And the fact of the matter is we are just service providers behind the scenes. We're not trying to grow this big personal brand. We're trying to do good work for good clients and make good money. And part of this in this ever evolving marketing and digital world is using AI. And AI can make our lives easier, and it can allow us actually to charge more. So let's own the title and let's talk to unicorns who are building AI in their client's business. I am so pumped today to bring in a couple unicorns from our digital marketers work group to share what they've been building for their clients. And this is regarding AI. And it's because so many people are using AI right now. I have so many people telling me, like, oh, you should really teach your marketing assistants and specialists AI. I'm like, we do. We really do. We're all independent contractors doing our own thing, really specializing in our services and figuring out how to be more efficient and deliver good work to our clients. So today we have four unicorns sharing exactly what they built with their client, what kind of results, and we're focusing it today on custom GPTs and chat GPT because it's the one we use the most. There are so many different conversations we can build off of AI, and this is what we're doing inside our digital marketers work group. So a little highlight of what's happening. We're going to go through these four unicorns and have them share, and I hope it inspires you to not be afraid of AI. I mean, I think we're past that conversation, but figure out the smart ways to bring it to your client. Like AI is not taking your job right now. AI is making you better at what you're good at. It's helping you outsource the things that aren't your strength. It's helping you be more efficient and more profitable. We're here to bring it today. Let's start with Catia. Will you share a little bit about you and what you've been working on with your clients?
Yes, I'm Catia Trooskin, and I am a marketing project manager and operations pro. And I work with marketing agencies, consultants, and executive coaches to run their day-to-day businesses and marketing initiatives. And over the past year, since I learned how to create custom GPTs from Emily's work group, I've built so many custom GPTs that I have to ask ChatGPT what I built.
Oh my gosh, like how many? Are you talking like hundreds here?
Maybe about 80 or so. I just find pockets of like gaps that can be filled by a GPT. And I build across like sales, marketing, and content creation, course creation, knowledge packaging. And I've done anything from like a sales and business development for myself, where it helps me to answer queries or things like that, and also do some research. But I've also built some for clients. I have a couple that are interesting. For example, one of them is I work with a funeral industry client, a coach that works with funeral industry clients. So I have a funeral industry marketing bot. I bet you don't have one. Uh,
No.
it basically speaks death care. That's really what they call the industry is death care. So it speaks that industry, their language, their lingo, everything that they do, and it markets specifically to that industry. Then I also have clients that are change management consultants, and they work with big corporations. And I have a client that teaches on that. So we have actually created a bot that is trained in educational frameworks, like actual learning frameworks that are used in universities, combined with the change management frameworks and concepts to help her create those courses. So those are two of the highlights, but I've done so many. What I look for is I look for a gap. Where are my clients spending a lot of time on? And it may not necessarily be something I'm doing for them, but it may be something that they're doing on their own that they're spending so much time doing that I can save them time. And I've worked with my clients for most of them for over 4 years. And I really get to know their businesses. So I look for how are they spending their time? What do they need help with? And how can I build them a bot? And at one point I was building so many bots. It was like, you get a bot and you get a bot. And, once I learned how to build them with the work group, it really became, something that I was obsessed with creating.
Oh my gosh, I have to pick on that. So did you first like learn this in the work group or did you take a course or like how did you
No,
do
the work
that?
group. You had someone in from the work group that was teaching. It was for a specific purpose. And I was like, oh, I can do that for this purpose instead. And since then, I've been working on just even upping my AI game. I just love learning about it. And I'm going into other AIs beyond ChatGPT. So I'm learning, how to like create knowledge repositories and like Notebook LM, which is a Google product. I'm learning how to create chatbots, to answer customer service questions and things like that. And I've even had clients that come to me and they're like, hey, I have this purpose and I know that you've been learning about this. How can I do this using AI?
Oh my gosh. And the fun thing here is you're talking about two like vastly different clients and industries. And it seems like funeral or change management. And now you step in as an expert, knowing that
Yep.
content. Like think about like how fast that puts you inside somebody's business, able to speak like them, produce, the content for them, the
Mhm.
marketing content. And then you're also crossing over into the operations, the customer
Yep.
service. So what have you learned by doing all of this for your clients?
One, I've learned their language because, like you said, funeral industry and change management, they're very different. They have their own lingo, they have their own process. Some of it is very corporate or it's very industry specific. So I've learned how to, one, to find gaps in what they need done and help them to really be able to serve their clients. How can they serve their clients better? And how can I serve them by serving their clients with just this knowledge? So I've really learned about the frameworks and things like that. And I've also just learned how to use AI better and how it can things that you don't even think about, like that you can use AI for.
Okay, so tell me, like, what kind of results are your clients getting from this? Or do they know you're doing this on their behalf, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's funny because when you have a custom GPT, you can kind of see how many uses they've gotten. And like on your end, you can say, it's been used 100 times. So even though I don't see what they're doing it, because a lot of them I'm handing it off to them, like, hey, I know you're working on this and I know it's taking forever. Let's optimize this and use this bot to create it. Like, for example, I have a couple of change management clients, but one of them, she does her own content. I just do the implementation. So I'm like, I built her the bot. I'm like, okay, when you need to do content, use this. You need to do marketing materials, use this. So she goes in and she's like, yeah, I was using my bot today. So she's doing it all on her own. And then I do the implementation of, the setups, the emails and things like that. But she's building out the content and it saves her so much time. I mean, we're having these conversations. Okay, I was in my bot today. And it's constant. And I can see how many times they've been used. Like this has been used 100 times. This has been used 200 times. So they're going in there and I just have fun building them and I have fun having them be able to save time on their own. Even if it's not something that necessarily affects my time. If it affects their time, it's a plus for me.
Oh my gosh, and you could probably put a number to that, like, oh, if this average bot use saves like a business owner 3 hours and they're
Yes.
getting in there that many times, like now you have like a core number that you can turn around and sell this to as a repeatable service. Like that's huge. People are all about time saving right now. They're all about alignment in 2026, doubling down on what's working and not wasting time. And I think that's amazing, Katia.
Oh, I love it. And I learned it from the work group because you always have great courses for us. And it's amazing to just be able to learn it. And then I was like, this is amazing. What can be done with this? And I don't think AI is coming from my job at this point. I don't think it's a thing because there's so much more that you can bring in value. And I think it's actually helping. It's helping me with my own time. It's helping me with clients. I think it's just a great value and I love doing it.
Yeah, and there's something to be said when you're surrounded by people who are doing that work and you see the possibilities for yourself, or you get the encouragement to jump in and try it. It's those conversations like, what do you price? What do you package? What are you doing? And you don't need someone to like ordain you some AI expert. Like you can jump in there with the clients when you see that your peers are doing it too.
Yes,
So thank you
absolutely.
for sharing that. I think I'll come back with a few other questions and like get your opinion on some things. But let's hear from Tracy. Tell us what kind of custom GPTs you're creating for your clients.
Well, I'm Traci Howell, and I am a strategic marketing assistant that focuses a lot on copywriting and AI agents. And I work a lot with travel agents, realtors, and more like creative businesses, like your artists or your needlepoint type people, smaller businesses that need extra assistance on stuff. I've done a lot of different types of AI agents, anywhere from like customer service agents to social media marketing type cut ones. And then I also have done personal assistants, especially for my crafters, where they need another personal assistant to kind of tell them, okay, you've done this stuff. Now you got to do this stuff. But the one thought was really fun to create was one for a health and wellness guru. And she focuses a lot on specific meal planning type things. And so
Oh,
she was getting bogged down by clients asking her, okay, what is the meal plan idea for this week? What is this for this week? And she found out that a lot of her clients had like X amount of time because they have kids, they have to go to opera or wherever their kids go. And so she's like, well, I can't give them a gourmet meal when they only have 20 minutes. So we created a meal planning agent
oh,
where we used Slack and Chat GPT and combined it. You have to answer like a list of questions like how much time do you have? How many days do you want it? Because you can do it for 3 days, 5 days, or 7 days. And then they answer everything and it literally just sends them an entire list and gives them the recipe, how to make it, gives them all the links that they need according to her style of nutrition. So
oh.
it's really
So
kind
they're
of
hitting their goals too.
yes, so they're hitting their goals and she's hitting the goals with them without actually having to sit down and look at the meal plan, look at the time. So she told me she would be doing that for about 18 hours a week. And she looks at everything just to make like she doesn't even look at it anymore. But initially she was looking at it for like an hour because it sent an email to them and then it sends an email to her so she knows what the client actually was eating. So when she talks to him, she knows what she's talking about. So it went from 18 hours to an hour max a week.
Oh my God. And if you were to put, let's just for easy numbers say her time's worth $100 an hour, you just saved her $1,800 a month, which we know that maybe her client work might pay more than that. But like,
Yeah.
dang, so you could put you put a revenue on that. But I
Yeah.
also think about how much her capacity increases and like how do you put a dollar amount on that? Because now she could probably double the clients she can serve. Yeah, you're making money, but you're also helping people.
Relaunched her. That's what she called it. She relaunched herself. And she took on another 35 new clients.
Oh my
So
God.
and she already had 30 before, and that was her max. Like, she couldn't handle any more than 30. So taking on 35 is like, we just, like, doubled plus, you know? Like, rock on. I helped you do that. Yay.
Oh my gosh, that's huge. I mean, unfortunately, like we're getting to more of these like high touch and proximity offers, right? Like we talked a lot about that here in the work group. And our clients want us, and that's such a good way as like the business owner to put yourself back into it, but be able to serve more in
Mhm.
that capacity. So how does that make you feel as like the person behind the scenes?
That made me feel really good because 'cause I'm like, I'm not sure exactly how to do that because 'cause I've made a bunch of different agents, but I never made one that specialized in, like, meal plans and pulling in her philosophy and everything. So I'm like, "Okay, let's beta test it with, like, 10 people first," like,
Yeah.
because of course she has a couple friends that are her clients. And she's like, "Okay, let's test them with these guys and see how it works and make sure it works," and surprisingly, it worked amazing, and I'm like, "Woohoo, I did it right." So when I was like, "Woohoo, 2 for me," and then more importantly, I was excited that it was working the way we assumed it would work, and then the 10 of them were like, "Go, tell everybody about this," and so we sent it out to everybody, explained how to do it, had the nice little follow-up emails, which we did create an AI agent for, so it specialized, so an onboarding type agent for people so that they would know how to do their meal plan, how it would come in, how it's going to look. And it was all formulated that way rather than having to go in and create emails. It just automatically, they put their name in and it just automatically flows out kind of like an email system, except without the emails.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like something every like group program or live cohort might need. So that's genius. I haven't heard of that necessarily being optimized or used for like customer retention. So that's a good idea. The commonality I've seen between Traci and Katia so far is like you're able to build many things. You're able to go into the business and think on your feet and figure out like where's the most time savings, what will be the biggest return, which is amazing because I'm sure there's a million things that we could automate. It's just choosing like what makes the most sense. And this is like a core client deliverable,
Yes.
so it makes sense and spending the most time there.
you can build on each of the agents. So like some of my clients need just one. That's all they want is just one. But like I have one client I've built 12 different agents for just because they're like, oh my gosh, this is working so much better. And I'm getting more time back and I'm getting this. Can we take this off my plate now? And I'm like, let me think, how does this roll? And I'm like, yeah, actually, we can do that. And then they're like, can I just have a personal assistant telling me what I need to do each day? I'm like, yes, we can build that too. It's like, we can do whatever you want with it. Because basically, you just need to have your brain, which is your platform, and then the information that you're telling it to do, and then their output, which is into like a Excel sheet or an email or whatever your client is preferable to.
That sounds like a dream for all of us with our like squirrel chasing clients who are trying to keep focused and like get their deliverables in. You're like, okay, this is now what you're doing in your own job. Cause sometimes comes with a small team, right? I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it happens on my team too. I'm like, okay, who needs what when now? Like someone hit me on the head, like, what's the burning fire? So, and then maybe some of like the personal therapy and like cheerleading that they need done in the process. Oh my gosh, Traci, that's so insightful. I think that it is so interesting that you could take somebody's core deliverable and turn it into this. And I think more businesses we're seeing them have these add-ons with custom GPTs or like I'm thinking about my friend Brendan McGowan right now who's like adding in all this like custom GPTs for her pre-launch program and how you sort through that content and do the messaging and like it's almost like it becoming expected too, with the course, with the program. So I love that you could get in there and do that. Suze, let's talk to you and figure out what have you done with custom GPTs?
So I have, much like the other girls, made a bunch of different GPTs range from anywhere in my clients' funnels. And I generally work with coaches and business coaches. So we already know their frameworks. And I believe that if you have a framework, you could have a custom GPT that you could deliver to your clients. So working with like right at the top of the funnel, my client is an emotional eating coach. So we created one for her lead magnet, which only solves one problem for her potential clients to get them into her email list. Which then, when you're standing in the cupboard and you're thinking, I've literally just ate something like a big meal I don't need to eat right now, but here I am in the cupboard, then she has this GPT which will help you to pause and actually goes through a little tiny bit of her coaching, just like the first snippet, which would then help you to like ground yourself, give them an offer, like another solution rather than like heading to the fridge, and then sends them back to her coaching. So at the end of it says like, if this helped you, I'd love to talk to you in the DMs. Send me a message. And so then it sends them back to their Instagram. So that's like a real top of funnel, easy lead magnet to help her position into sort of like being in 2026 lead magnet because everybody's got a collection of PDFs collecting dust in their inbox, right? So that's the start of it. And then I made like a few really complex GPTs. One of my coaches is a business coach for moms with kids under 5. So we have a really complex GPT, which helps the moms to decide what to do when like the shit's hit the fan, the kids are sick, I still need to work. I've only got 20 minutes. It's called the Money Making Moves GPT. So it's her frameworks put into this complex GPT and she sells access to it so that when at 5 in the morning and you're not going to make it to work today and you're like, I need to know what to do to like actually make money in my business today, like she's at your fingertips basically with your GPT. So those are a few of the GPTs that I've made.
That one's for paying clients, right? Like she is now their coach, like in those moments.
Yep. So they pay to have access to it and it's just like a one-time fee. So then she has like basically a digital product that she then sells access to. And then if they want further coaching beyond that, then they pay for like more of her coaching, like one-to-one.
How does your client or how would you deal with like the lifetime access? Is it like a certain limited access or like what's the container for that?
Well, right now it's like a one-time fee. So like you pay for it and then you have access to it for as long as you want, you know?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I always think about like what happens when they need to update it or like build something more complex or what's the promise there, you know?
Yeah. Well, this particular one is like got 9 knowledge bases. It's really
Okay.
complex. It took me
Okay.
hours and hours to learn all of her frameworks to then put into this. So, like, that's the thing with like the other girls had said as well, is like we know the nitty-gritty nuances of the business and how our clients talk. And, to quote the great Marissa Corcoran, their word bank or their word closet. So then the GPT sounds like the client. It's not like a robot. It doesn't sound like a robot. It sounds like them actually speaking to you. So if we take the time to create that word closet, it was like, oh, Emily always says, I don't know, I can't think of a word right now, but
I don't know either.
yeah, for myself, like I always say dude, because I'm Canadian. So it's just like a word that and bud and stuff like that, it just comes out naturally. So I created my own GPT. So it says those words that I say, and we get to know our clients really closely. So that is a really important part of creating the GPTs, is that so they don't sound like robots. When you're then going to make the emails that for like launching or whatever, you want everything to sound like it's coming directly from you. You don't want GPT slush or something like fluff or whatever. Like who
Yeah.
uses the word fluff these days, honestly? Just
It
GPTs.
sounds like this could be a really good add-on service or upsell service for anyone who's doing an evergreen. Because, we're seeing a de-emphasis on live launching. And so then I think about like, well, how do you serve these self-serve people who are self-paced, all the self words right there, and be able to give them access without more time, right? And I mean, that's a shift I see in my own business, but that's like one of the real talks of 2026. And so sounds like having like your frameworks in a coaching bot, more or less, could be like a great service for a coach to be able to be in two places at once and not at that high level. I think we're all over like the high ticket everything.
Absolutely. The thing is like in some instances, especially with like a complex GPT, we need to also back it up with a little bit of like perhaps a little 2-minute video of like, you've got this great tool. Let's help you use it the best of your ability. So here's some great prompts. Here's how you can talk to the GPT, talk to it like you would normally talk, give it as much information as you can, and it will work for you like an amazing tool. So it's only as good as the user, but sometimes the users don't know how to use it. So, I encourage my clients to then let's just do like a 2-minute video. I'll tell you exactly what to do for the loom, and then deliver the GPT along with this great Loom video that's saying, I'm so glad you have access to me. This is my whole brain. It's in this digital product just for you. And so the coach is like, well, pretty much everybody that I work with, the coaches are all completely at capacity. So they just need me to go, here's what you say. Here's the video, but you're the face of everything. Like, this is all coming from you. This is all your words. And they just need me beside them going, say this, record it. I'll make it look pretty for you. And then we'll deliver it in a nice, beautiful little package to all your clients. And they'll all just think you're a total rock star because you are a rock star, but let's show you off even more.
Yeah. Do you ever see any issues with people actually consuming it? Like that is so smart to think about. Part of your package is like the user like onboarding more or less, right? And making that a good experience. What about like getting people to re-engage with it like after they have? Is there like any kind of has anyone thought about that or like how do you do that in that certain instance?
Yeah, so like you can just easily do like a little like here's another like funnel or sequence, email sequence saying, "Oh, you got this great tool. Are you using it? Did you remember to say this?" So you just like back it up with another email saying, "The
Yeah.
tool's waiting for you. Have you thought about asking it this? It could help you with that." And so you
Yeah.
have to think about the prompts in the same way that our social media backs up, other stuff that we do. So basically, when our coaches or the people that we work with want to be completely front facing, they're the complete expert. And the way that we can help them is by saying, have you thought about this and this and this? Or I've already, categorized and indexed all of your frameworks. This is where it fits into a GPT. Have you thought about that? And this is how much money you could make from it. And this is how I can help you with it. And so that's what I do.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I love that. You've done like a pre-launch one, right? Or a launch content one too, right?
Yeah, so I was doing quite a lot of launch assistant work and got fantastic results from my clients. And I created myself a launch assistant GPT because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just spending so much time on this that I had a framework myself. So I created a launch assistant GPT for myself. And then I thought, actually, this is a really cool tool that perhaps I could sell to help other people. If you were thinking of, oh, I wish I could get to a level to hire a launch assistant myself, but it just like the thought of spending that much money maybe didn't suit, or your business wasn't quite ready there yet, you can then buy access to my launch assistant GPT, which would prepare you like the calendar for a start. Like, how many times have you sat down of like worked back 7 weeks from this date and where am I at now, or
Yeah.
6 weeks, or I want to launch a little small thing at the end of the month. Like, where should I be and what kind of nurture content should I put out now, or sort of thing. So that's what I created for myself. And then now I sell access to it, which is just like fun. I love that. I provide then a little video to say, this is how you use it.
That's so fun because it started with you like doing it for yourself and now it became its own offer. You can turn around and sell it to your clients. What's fun is the next panel that we're doing is other unicorns about make these GPTs for their own business.
Mm.
So yours kind of like crossed over into both. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. And I was thinking about like the engagement of it afterward. And I think you hit something big I want to reiterate that telling your people what to prompt into it, it's like sometimes they need that nudge. Like I think about my Fitness Pal or my Noom that's like reminding me to like put my food and log my food in. And you kind of have to do that and then maybe have that sequence or that automation. And users probably need examples. I'm sure all of our clients have, like you talked about, like the frameworks and the questions that they would be asking and prompting. So I think that's like something it's an add-on. And here's what I like to do. I like to think about the scope of the project and then like the extra and then the real work that goes into it. And it's not just like, hey, you built this. There's the like pre-work that we do, there's afterward, but then there's also that, I don't know. In this case, I guess it's like the customer journey, but it's so much more than just doing the work of building the GPT. Like we got to think before and we have to think after the user experience. So that's what I'm like trying to harp on over here.
Well, actually, Emily, that's exactly how it started, was that I was doing emails. I was just indexing emails for one of my coaching clients. And she said, I've got so many emails. I need to have like just like a huge database of what I can reuse here and there. So I did, I think it was like 3 years of emails where I just was like this date and what it was about. So I, in the Google Doc, hashtagged each of the emails of what it talked about. And whenever she was talking about her specific signature course, then it would send me to them. And I thought, actually, this is the start of the knowledge base of the GPT for her. And she, over the years, she was talking about the book that she was writing. So then added that hashtag in of each email where she talked about the book, so that when she then comes to create the social media content about the book, she's already got all the emails there. But now that's in a GPT, it just shoots it up like in minutes. So it saves her hours of work.
Oh my God, that's freaking brilliant. Do you have any like testimonials or results from your clients, like talking about using your work, your AI?
Yeah, like the Money Making Moms, especially, her clients are like using it all the time. They're just like, I can't believe like I had 20 minutes and I made money today, but my kid laid on the couch puking. So that's what's happening. And then just imagine like 3 years of indexed emails into a GPT to then create the launch already in her name, all of her voice. It's got like her word closet in there. I mean, you do the math.
I mean, it's so brilliant if we were all just that organized when we first started. I mean, I am now, but I think about the beginning of my business. I'm like, wow. Well, it's a good thing. I've evolved a lot too. But yeah, staying organized. And I always make this joke. I was like, maybe the new age of the marketing assistant is transcripts and digging through content or the best content and having the brain to pick out the best one too. So great job on that. That was very insightful. Wait, Sara, I would love to hear what you're creating with custom GPTs.
Yeah. Hey, I'm Sara. I'm a launch strategist and copywriter, and I work with coaches and group program leaders who are working towards their $1 million a year, usually on a signature offer. And I use their data and their research and their experiences to create the messaging and sales campaigns that make their people feel seen, heard, and ready to buy. And I've been loving custom ChatGPTs, and maybe that's something that a lot of copywriters maybe aren't willing to say, because I know that it has, done things, it's changed the way we're working and doing it, but I have fully embraced it for both myself and my business and for my clients. So specifically, I'm thinking about when I'm looking at building the custom ChatGPTs, it's like, how do we release the bottleneck? Like, what is the bottleneck here? And how do we use this to bridge over it? So I have one of my clients, is a retainer client. She's like a doctor. So she's got very highly clinical expertise that, the team and I do not have. Like, there's language she has to use. It's like, it has to be very specific and we have to be very accurate. And so generic AI writing does not work. And if we don't have the language, everything falls flat. So one of the things that was a bottleneck was every month we do like a core blog, and that blog forms like the kind of the monthly arc. When we're outside of a launch campaign, we'll use that as an arc. We'll do like the nurturing and maybe mini sales campaigns within it. But we were realizing that the blog post every month it has to come from her. And it's all very, very clinical and like case study based. And she was spending a lot of time trying to like translate it to us. And then, we weren't doing great first drafts. It was like really tricky. And then so she started trying to write it in ChatGPT, and it was just taking her a really long time. And it was taking away from like money generating activities that she could be working on. And she is still practicing. She has a course, but she also still practices on patients. Like, she still works. So her time is very scarce for the business, and she has to really protect it. So we thought, okay, how can we protect this? How can we protect this? So what I did was I created a custom ChatGPT for her blog post. I started by making a brand voice guide really specific to the blog post. So analyzing like the voice patterns, the transitions, the CTAs, the way she starts the blog post, the way she like segues into things. I trained the ChatGPT on past blog posts, looking at specifically like top performing ones. So looking at, okay, like at our Google Analytics, which blogs actually did the best and have the most traffic, so that we can like, let's do more of that.
Yeah.
The voice patterns, like the style, the ones that had a lot more feedback on it. And so I created ChatGPT based on that. So of course, like the blog post playbook, the knowledge base. And now the result is that the client, instead of spending hours writing, can now like speak the essence of her ideas into the ChatGPT. So she speaks into it now, and she's able to like get a really, really strong first draft dramatically faster. So she'll speak it in, she'll read it over, and she usually does like one more go at it, but just voice editing the draft that comes out, and then passes that over to me. And that has like not just solved like the writing problem, but like a massive like cognitive load and time problem. So now she feels like she can get faster to the revenue generating stuff that only she can do, like course creation and like other offers she's trying to work on, or other training she's planning for like her large launches. And this can get off her plate faster. And then to me, I can now understand what she's talking about, and I can form the monthly arc from there because I have a really solid base to go from, and I can dig into her other content to add, like, build from there.
I'm just thinking about like the funeral ChatGPT and like, this is so technical and you can't afford to mess it up. It's
Yeah.
in the medical space. Like, you can't fake it,
Yeah.
And so I feel like these GPTs almost allow us to clone our client for us. So
Yeah.
we can do our work faster, because you said that unlocks the entire content for the month that the team is waiting on. And so, I mean, how many times have our client said, like, I need another me? And we need the other me that's like the brain, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's the content, it's the frameworks, it's the coaching, it's that lived experience. So great job, like, tapping into that. I also love how like super specific it was to a problem within the business, because we can think through that. And Anything else you've created like for this client or other clients that might help?
Yeah, I've also created a newsletter,
Okay.
ChatGPT specifically. My client was always like, she wants to do her own editorial at the beginning of the newsletter, and then I build the rest of it on like the other pieces, kind of like the salesy pieces and things. But she was like honestly waiting till last minute every single week, and it was becoming a thing. And we realized that it was like, it's just like she got stuck feeling, right?
Yeah.
And so we tried all the things like, I'll Slack you on Monday with a reminder, and you'll like, you could just audio it, and it just wasn't working. And then she would try to ChatGPT it herself, like again, speak into it, and it was coming back sounding very much like ChatGPT and not very much like her. So I created her just like a brand voiced ChatGPT. So again, analyze like, she has a huge library of a podcast. So pulled top podcast episodes and the ones that also had, I want to say like her lore in it, like her stories where she told her
Mhm.
signature story. So I looked and I went through her podcast and pulled all those ones that I knew really were like the story she keep coming back to, the ones that she had a lot of good feedback on, again, like those top ones. And I used that to form like a brand voice guide behind this ChatGPT. And so that way I just gave her a basically like, it was like her name GPT, so that she feels that she can speak into it, and now it comes back sounding like her, in like a really solid first draft. So same thing, and then she can pass that editorial over to me, and it's no longer a bottleneck of us trying to scramble to get the newsletter out at like, you know, 7 p.m. the night before, which was like causing everyone stress.
We all know that
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah. But we also weren't, like, having to, like, and it but now it doesn't, it's like, it's not generic either now, like, it really generally sounds like her, and sometimes if she just sometimes she'll even say something like, "Blah, blah, blah," or, like, "Fill in this thing about my story," or, "Reference this job I had," and it'll pull up some of that, like, lore stories that are from her signature ones that she always is coming back to, and
Yeah.
that's been really helpful.
I think there's a couple things here. One, it always goes back to Google Analytics. So thank you
Yeah.
for pointing out like the blog stats, the podcast stats. But I've done that anytime I've had an interview with someone and I'm like, ooh, I told a good story in there. I'm like, this is
Mhm.
building up not just my word bank, but it's my story bank. Because ChatGPT will hallucinate, it will make up stuff unless you explicitly tell it not to. It will
Yeah.
make up testimonials. And so it does need those real raw stories that take some time in those emotions and the details to get out of our clients. So I still laugh that we're like transcript gatherers, but like you're being so smart about the story that you're gathering. And then you can always have the side conversations with your clients. Like I know for some of mine with the email, I'm like, okay, tell me about a time when blah, blah, blah. And,
Yeah.
but it's funny that that was holding her up so much. And yet a custom GBT can save so much time for her. It's so funny that that, like, unlocked it. It wasn't a bunch of reminders. It was an easy way for her to, like, process
Yeah.
incompletely and have a finished product spit out, right?
It's so much better now because no one's all waiting on it and stressing on it, like, we're all happy. So I feel like
Yeah, that part too.
GPTs, like, unlock those bottlenecks so well. If when you pinpoint what they are, you're like, "Okay, how can I make this very specific to this problem we can come
Yeah.
back to and solve?"
I also start thinking about, like, the quality of clients that we all wanna work with, and we want the client who has a backlog of content. Like, that's also what I'm hearing here. You can't go
Oh
do
my
this
gosh.
if there's nothing, if they're new, and it's easier if they've been on podcasts, if they have their frameworks, if they've done the client work, and so for those of us I mean, I think there's, like, a readiness factor there, but, like, I would have that in my onboarding. I'm like, how much digging do we have to do here? Are you organized with this ahead of time? Right? Because that will make your job easier. Okay, I'm curious. I'd like to go around and just like have a conversation about this in general with the GBTs. But like one big question that I've had is ownership. Who's owning it after you build it? Are you guys specifying this in contracts? Like, have you given it over to your clients? Like, does anyone have any thoughts here? Anyone been screwed over here or like wish they would have done something different? Just thinking in terms of people listening and what they can glean from your experience.
I haven't had any issues with it, but I also, when I do the contract, I have a specific contract that's specifically for building out AI agents that says what we're building and how many and all of that good stuff. And so basically how I have it set up is I have like their flat fee of what they're gonna be charged for the I agent. And then it's theirs after that. Like once it's built, it's theirs.
Okay.
But I do offer what I call a maintenance package. because AI is changing all the time. So even though we built something like for the meal plans, I've updated it 6 times so far, just because of how AI is changing and the verbiage needs to be changed and things like that. And then as we all evolve in our businesses, some of how we process things changes too. So we definitely want to have that kind of flowing with how you're building your business. So I offer that at a set rate for maintenance. So it's like I'm going to be there to help you if there's glitches. But in all of my AI agents, I build in a tracker. So if there's a glitch in it, an email gets sent to the client that says, "Hey, something is messed up," and it sends it to me too if they have the maintenance package.
Is
But
this like when it's delivering to one of their clients?
yeah, when it's
Okay.
delivered. So
Okay.
there's like an error message that they get that, "Hey, something messed up," so that it kind of tells them that, "Hey, you have to contact me again unless you know how to fix it." So,
Like
um,
more work for me.
yeah, so basically, it's kind of like a steady retainer afterwards because nobody's gonna wanna go in and try to figure out what I just did for them. As
Yeah.
bad as that sounds, but it just takes too much time, and I do not offer to explain how it's set up. Like,
Good.
I set it up, I say, "This is how it's set up generally," but I don't go in into the specifics or any of that. So, unless they wanna learn how to manually do it themselves, good luck, because a lot of them are very specific. Otherwise, that maintenance package is just kind of that retainer where we verify. I give them how often it's being used by their clients, all the analytics that go with it, stats and numbers that people like. So
Cool.
that's how I
I
help.
think that's reassuring too to know somebody can come in and like my messaging is evolving, my audience is, or I have a new way of tracking macros. I don't know. And so I think that's assuring. And I think that's what makes us different than anyone on Upwork. It's like it's not a one and done. Thank you, ma'am. We're here in the long haul. And we charge for it because we know the worth of our work here, but that's I think what clients are looking for, like that longer term support and knowing that they can reach out to you. And you can control that, but
Exactly. I also built out an ROI calculator because some of them do get more expensive and people are, that's not, price, a price. It's like, okay, but look at here. Let me show you here. We're putting this here. We're putting this here. And for one of my clients, we were saving them $75,000 a year by adding just these three agents. $75,000, and they
but
only paid me like 15,000. And I'm
yeah,
like, so you're still saving $60,000, guys.
it's not just saving, they're making money
Yeah,
too, because now they have something they can sell.
exactly. So
Oh my
it's
gosh.
like kind of having that background of, hey, yeah, I know I just gave you a huge number, but look at it. It's really not that big when in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, yeah. Also, if we have to over explain AI to a certain level
Oh
of
yeah.
audience, then like
Yes.
bye.
But
Okay.
if you put it into simplified, like, okay, you're not gonna be using a VA for this or a VA for this, or you're not getting rid of your Upwork people for these 5 things, and we just built you one item, it's like, "Oh, that makes more sense." So,
Yeah.
people are visual
That
learned.
I love that. I want to ask a couple questions about selling this or offering it as another package, but does anyone have anything to add about ownership or the copyright of it?
No, I did the same as Tracy, is that I created it and then handed the ownership over and then offered the same, like a package
Okay.
for maintenance and a package because it's like they're ever evolving tools. They do
Mhm.
need topping up and looking after, like just like all of our products. No matter what kind of product you're selling, it will need
Yeah.
that.
It's the maintenance, it's the website maintenance, it's the content, it's the email, and it can all break. Sarah, what about you?
I wanted to add that, like, most of my clients I'm on retainer with, so I create the assets, they keep the assets, that's part of our contract. Nothing in it is like, I don't put any of my frameworks or copy templates or frameworks in it. If I was, that would be a separate thing where I think I would charge, like, a different kind of access for. It's all built from their IAP. I do obviously have my playbook, the knowledge file way that I do things. I don't pass them over my template or framework for that, but
Gotcha.
obviously, like, I fill it in and it's in their ChatGPT, so they could go look at it, of course. But I'm working with them on a regular basis overall. So If there's a little bit of maintenance, I'll do that. But so far, even to my retainer clients, we have like paid a separate ChatGPT building fee because it's outside of the scope of what like our contract would be, which would be more like sales campaigns. So we're like, okay, this is a really great idea. We want to build it, but it's extra.
Yeah.
So,
I've also seen language about being able to sell it on your own. Like if you were to, it's almost like if you did the templates or did work inside the client and then they turn around and sell it, that's not okay unless you've given them the right to sell it. So like pay attention to that language, which I think is interesting because we see this move, like Susie was talking about, a move into more lead magnets featuring AI and small tiny offers and products featuring AI and like coaching bots and all kinds of things like that that are also turning into paid products. So if you're the one who built it, I would say like pay attention to that. I feel like there was other language I saw about you're not allowed to like go back and like deconstruct it and steal the frameworks and that makes sense, Sarah, why you wouldn't give yours, but it can be a blurry area of like, what is my IP and what is like common marketing knowledge. And I think that's always been it's been a hard line for me to walk inside people's teams and training team members.
I find the same thing as just like a creative and a writer, because in the end, it's like, well, the way I architect your launch campaign, I probably have the framework I follow every single time, but it's
Yeah.
different, unique to you.
Yeah.
That is always a tricky area. I think we have to
Yeah.
sort of play it by case.
Yeah. And I think that's so good to like hear from others. You're like, maybe I have thought of that, maybe I haven't. But I always say like trust your gut. If it doesn't feel good, if you're building up resentment, like there's something to explore there and maybe like put up a boundary and put up a price tag. Have any of you sold a custom GPT as like an extra service? I mean, I think a lot of us are in retainer clients here, but how has that worked? What have you learned in that process?
That's how pretty much all of mine have worked out, is that I started off working as like a marketing assistant, and then I saw where my client was at capacity, and also they were like, because I also work in like sort of strategy, so it's like my new official title is AI operations strategist, because I don't want to hide that I'm using AI in my business because it is helping me and being another coach, but I'm strategizing with it, and I then use your frameworks within AI, but how I've worked out my prompts and whatnot. Anyway, so working with like as a marketing assistant slash strategist, then finding a place where AI can fit in with their business so that they can sort of like be more 2026 and not 2024, you know? And so I started off with one project for a particular client as like creating the graphics and workbook and whatnot for a launch that she was doing. And then on the back of that, at the sort of debrief after the launch, was like, I'd love to keep working with you. How could you work with me? And I said, well, actually, I saw this hole where you could, really position yourself in 2026 way, especially going forward. And we were working in September. So it was sort of like already planning for 2026 that way. And that's how I sold her GPT. And I will say it was two different, or maybe even three different quotes at the time, because it was like, this is what you get just for the GPT. This is what you get for me to, do this part as well. And then this is how you could have like ongoing retainer, and, we'll work with it more and more on ongoing. So I wasn't in charge of selling it and marketing it, but that's how, like, using all of this expertise and what you've taught us in the work group into being able to be a marketing strategist for the products that were created as well. So it's just like adding the next level. And I always like go back to the baseline of what you taught us of like, how can I embody this? How can I be a unicorn in this way and not just like a regular, marketing assistant?
Yeah, I love that. I'm like really curious where our jobs and titles are going to shift with AI here. And I'm not afraid of it, but it's almost like if you can do this high level AI work, I see all of you shifting out of any kind of implementation posting type of work. Not to undermine that, but it's like, all right, now you're truly doing higher level. And I know AI operations agencies, AI marketing agencies that charge thousands of dollars to do what we're doing for our clients. And so I just like encourage all of you to think about that. Like, where could I go with this? But always unicorn it. I like it. Unicornize it. Catia, what about you? Are you offering this as like a standalone service at all?
No, that's something that I'm looking to do in the future, but right now I work mostly on retainers, so I've made it part of just my value and what I offer them.
Okay.
And what I love about it is that as their businesses change, we can always go in and update anything new. Like if they have new brand language, we can go in and update, and it's an overall value and a service that I provide. Right now it's where I'm keeping it, but I'm looking to definitely start doing my own GPTs that I sell and, to provide to, other service providers. So one of the things that I do is, I'm really into the operations aspect of my clients' businesses and how I do things and, the customer service and how really to work with these clients. And I want to build products that also help other service providers service their clients in the same way. Some things that come as easily to one person don't come as easy to another. And I really want to package like my own framework that I will put into a GPT and provide as a service.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, everyone should have at least some kind of consultation button up. I'm hoping people listen to this and they're like, oh my gosh, Emily's unicorns are doing this whole time. And I just need this to be more forefront and obvious because we are like the thinkers and the strategists inside the business. So, what about tips for like selling this? Or I know, Tracy talked about the ROI calculator, but I think most of our clients are like embracing AI. But is there anything you've learned like adding this on? I know for me, my last CMO client, he didn't care that I did things with AI, and we had to because we had a very slim team. And as long as we got the voice right, we got the stories in there, we got the promo emails and the sequences all done, like it was fine. But he would always ask me because I think he was curious. And at first I was like, oh my God, does he hate it? Why is he asking? But I know he actually appreciated that because it showed me spending more time on high level stuff, which I know as a client, like I don't want things to take too long and feel like I'm getting invoiced a ridiculous amount of numbers for something that should go quick. Like podcast show notes. Like we don't need to spend hours on that anymore, right? Like those days are done. And getting that, first draft and all of that, we're all familiar with that. But I'm curious if anyone has come across help for selling it, showing the ROI, or showing that you're the service provider to do this because I don't think there's enough people doing the custom work out there, but any thoughts?
Yeah, I think what I'm learning is that customers are hungry for this because they don't have the time themselves to really dig into and learn the platforms. So, early on when ChatGPT first came out, however long that was, there was a lot of hesitancy to using it, and now it's much more accepted. But I think what's important is they don't have the time. If they're serving their clients, they're working with corporations, they're working with funeral homes, they don't have the time to learn all of this tech and all of anything new. It's moving so fast. You have new platforms, you have changes that are constantly coming out. So they don't have the time. So I'm actually learning that they're coming to me and they're saying, hey, I know you've been learning about this. I know you've been working with this. How can I do this faster? So that's what I've actually found. I think early on there was definitely a hesitancy, but I think that that's gone now. That clients realize that it can save them time, it can make their work better, and they really want a unicorn that knows how to do this so that they don't have to do it and they don't have to do all the learning behind it. And then you help them implement and make their businesses and their time be better used.
Okay, question. I can't help it. But on your services page, is it clear that you offer AI right now and that you own this? Because you guys are all rock stars.
Definitely not, but I'll put that on the list.
Room for improvement. Like
Definitely.
AI savvy unicorns are in demand. I mean, you just said it. You said the words, and it's the better quality, time saving clients who value time.
The one
Any,
thing I've noticed is that a lot of people need to kind of have your hand held. Like, you know, they know they need it, they know it's going to benefit them, but they're still like, I don't know about this. So having the patience to kind of sit back and go, okay, this 20-minute conversation just turned into an hour because we had to kind of go through all of these little things and get all of those little nagging moments out of their head. And it also proves that you know what you're talking about. You know what you're going to be doing for them. They know what they're going to get. They have no doubt how awesome you are going to be at the end of the conversation, right? So that's one thing that I had to kind of sit back. I don't like wasting time on Zoom or, I have better things to do than sit on Zoom and explain something to somebody. Like, I know what I'm doing. Just let me do it. And then it's like, wait, if I can't explain that to them, then I'm no better than they are with all the questions in their head. Of course, they're not going to get me to do this for them. So that's something I learned is kind of stepping back, saying, okay, I have a 5-year-old. So everything's like, okay, talk to him as if you're talking to Harley, who's 5, and they'll understand it for you. And that's not supposed to be a diss or anything. It's just sometimes you have to dumb it down so that they get the concepts behind it, even though you've made it so simple that it's really a lot harder than what you just said. So
Yeah.
that's what
And how they use it time over, time after time and how that just like compounds. So
yes.
I like this spicy version of Traci here. She's like, I don't have time for this and I don't have time for you. We're using AI, over, done, moving on.
Yes, I like just get to the point, let me finish it,
Yeah.
let's go, let's speed this out.
Yeah. What about you, Sarah? I'm sure you have thoughts as a copywriter and knowing sales.
For sure. So one of the things I've been working with clients on is creating a yes dossier GPT, I call it. So like what is the things that make people say yes? Because I find like so many of my clients, I'm sure we can all relate to this, are sitting on these gold mines of like customer research and feedback and in their surveys and their onboardings and all the replies they get. And they're not utilizing it enough. But then every single time when they go to start a launch, they're like, what angle should we take? Or why didn't that hit as right as we wanted to? Or what should our launch event be about? And it's like all buried within that messaging. Because if we just, again, tuned into our customers more, we would have so many answers. So what I've been working with my retainer clients right now is creating their Yes Dossier ChatGPT, where we like are pulling all of these surveys and things like that and parsing it through the GPT. So to helping have like, again, like what's on the hearts and minds of our customers, like what's the heartbeat, what's going on, what are they talking about, and then after every launch or like big kind of campaign, doing like another, let's say, upload or like kind of a quarterly basis. So because those are kind of when we have sales campaigns on a quarterly basis, so that it's constantly feeling really updated. And when we're wondering, okay, like will this resonate with our clients, or what's on their minds right now, or how are things changed from last year till this year, when we're looking at like launch over launch. Like, why did this launch feel different than last year's launch? Well, what's changed? Like, what are they talking about that's different? So that we can be really responsive to what's going on and then also like forward planning to learn from that. So that's what I've been working on next with them.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant, especially as things like shift so much. Like this year, like that's been the whole conversation. And I was just listening to a podcast about that this morning in the gym. It's like your messaging gets stale and it's such a slog sometimes to update it. And as you were talking, I was like, oh my God, I want a testimonial gathering one.
Yes.
That's the slog. And like, no offense to my team who I don't know if they're going to listen to this, but they're not great at it. Like, they're not great at it. And it's like, I have to do it to get the best thing. And that's something that's a must. And then it would go into the thing you're creating, Sarah. I'm like thinking about all these like little marketing things that are hard
Mhm.
and they must do and they make a difference. Tracy's like, I'm gonna write down that idea.
Yeah, for sure. Like that social proof, we need it. And then how can we use that to create case studies? Because
Yeah.
again, with that whole trust reception conversation that's been happening in the market right now, and people needing
Yeah.
to feel closer to the customer, it's like how can we use that information better? Because I think we aren't using it to the fullest value it can, and it could help us so much more. But we
Yeah.
have to. But it can feel so overwhelming, right? To go through it all, like all the surveys, and it's been very manual in the past. I know that's for me as like a copywriter, it's been very manual. And now that speeds up my time, but also for clients, like having this Yes Dossier kind of ChatGPT, this spot for them to go look at, their whole team can look at it. Like the customer service person can look at it too, like even formally, answers to questions that are coming up, or the client, the founder itself can be like understanding what's going on with my people right now. And would this offer resonate? Like, where is this landing? So it's a bit of a gut check
Okay.
situation
Okay.
too. Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that's so brilliant. I'm curious, do you all have like a price point for what you would sell these GPTs at? I mean, I know they're so varied, but like, okay, what would be the floor for someone listening to this? Like, I wouldn't do it for any less than this. Like, what kind of rates do you see out there? Or you feel free to share your own.
I have different packages because I do have an agency, and so we do like just you tell us what to implement, and we'll just go schedule it for you. And then it kind of goes from there. But for the AI agent, I have one other assistant who is also certified in it, like I am. And we start at about $2,500 for one agent. And of course, if it's a smaller agent, it might be smaller than that. But usually
Okay.
runs around the 2,500 mark. And then it also depends on how many agents they're getting, what they're needing, and things like that. So in my package, it clearly states, it's all custom based. It's going to be specifically for your business. It's not a one size fit all. It's not one of those plug and plays. It's literally customized and specific strictly for your business. So it's a one person show operation kind of thing. So it's all clearly stated in there. At least I think it is. Um, and that's where we start. It starts at about 2,500. And then for the maintenance one, it's about 10% of that. So depending on what it is.
Okay. Cool. And you probably have like limited scope or hours on that maintenance. So.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
And if they want more assistance than that, then it's all custom based again. But those are like the bottom lines that we kind of let people know. This is basically what you're going to be looking at.
Good. I think that's fair. That's like, the hours, the time that went into that and what it can return on the client. That's very fair. I've seen some for much less, but like there's also the price perception of that. But like the keyword is agent and custom. Right.
Yes.
And I know people can buy the DIY courses. There's some people teaching it. They're giving out, pre-made bots and whatnot. But I think we're all past that. Like as Sara was saying, like if your messaging isn't dialed in, like you're not winning in 2026. It's got to be so dialed in to work now. And with the way buyers are and the way like this market can be very saturated in the e-learning space, especially. But that's so fun. It makes me want to just like build them for clients too. Sara, what about you?
But for my retainer clients, like the one I did the blog post one on, I just did an add-on for her to her project. So I did $1,000 just to sort of like, because it's like a simple one. We're already working together on a long-term big package.
There's no like onboarding. There's no access.
I know her stuff. I just did dive in and I did it. But then for people I'm building the Yes Dossier messaging GPT one for, I'm doing that at like a $5,000 floor. And part of that is because I'm also doing messaging research for them before. Like a lot of them haven't like set up the survey and haven't installed like the questions across their business for collecting this information well enough. And there's also like the parsing through the testimonials and tidying it up. So it's not just the build, it's actually setting up like the back-end infrastructure to say, here's where we need to collect these data points. And I'm going to look at what you already have, and then we're going to tidy it up and then actually start making it work for you like now and in future.
And that is why I have never called myself a copywriter, because it's so much more than writing. It's everything Sara talked about. It's like the systems to gather, the VOC, and it's pretty intense when you do it right.
Yeah. It's so much easier though now with the ChatGPT to like go through it.
True. I like using AI to like go through like large amounts of data, and this just makes my life so much easier when it comes to like even the stats. I know it's not great at math, but the stats, the repeating patterns. I mean, I did that with my freelance job report. And it's like, what are the top jobs? What are the top tech? What is everyone asking for? And you can do that with messaging surveys, which is just genius for those same patterns. Suze, what about you?
Yeah, so mine's the same. It's $2,500 to start with. And then you get a 30-day sort of, here it is, test it out for 30 days. And I'll do any edits within those 30 days. And then there's like a complete handover date. And then however they want to have it afterwards. Like if they just want to like, okay, thanks, I'll deal with it. That's fine. And then there's like a maintenance package if they want. So that's for like the more complex GPT. But if you wanted like the lead magnet GPT that would like solve one problem for your audience, that is $297 for just solves one problem. It directs everyone back to like your primary social or your email or whichever. And again, I always do like a 30-day buffer so that you could like go, oh, this does not sound like me at all. Because it happens, right? We know that GPTs hallucinate and whatnot. So just for my own peace of mind, I want to make sure that they get like a 30-day, this isn't working for me sort of thing. And then I can like regroup if I need to. I haven't needed to. And then I just wanted to build on what you said about like people are busy and stuff like that. It's just that pretty much everyone that we work with, they're all completely at capacity. And so they don't want this headache. They started their business for this, like to serve this one audience on one thing, and they just want to do that. And the reason why they take us on board in the first place is because they don't want to do the back end stuff anymore. They've already moved past that. So, you know, they are smart. They could do the GPTs by themselves, but they don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah. And we also know that the maintenance that comes with it, like all the tech is in my head. I don't have someone who can come and help me when it breaks. And it's usually that moment that bites me in the butt. It's like I might have time on Friday, but I don't have time after that. And so it could just be like another selling point. I had written down as one of my questions the revisions process. I feel a lot of shame because I was working with somebody on a custom GPT and the revisions weren't going well. And I know a lot of it was me not being organized with her at the beginning. And I'm going to send an email after I record this podcast and follow up with her. I was struggling with that and I needed to be clear about what I needed. And we were trying to do too much with one thing. And so I own that. But like the revision process, it was really frustrating for me because it required so much more for me to sit down. And it was almost like the ownership was back on me to run through all the different permutations of this GBT and results. And I was like, I actually didn't have time to do that. And that's where I feel a lot of guilt because here I was like, I want the end result, but I didn't have time to set her up with the permissions and the information that she needed to be successful. And then I got some things back that needed my TLC. It was how it was. So I felt really guilty about that. I also realized I needed to own it and I need to be able to add to it. But I'm also like the weird client, like I'm the weird marketing client. So I'm probably not easy to work with. But I'm curious about the revision process, like how we could have avoided that. And I think I've like hinted at like I could have been more organized, the intake could have been more clear. But is there anything you have learned in this process? So if somebody was starting to do this, what mistakes can they avoid?
For me, with my clients were really specific. I was like, no emojis or no red hearts, you know? And sometimes, I don't know about you, but for my chat GPT, sometimes it shoots out stuff like that. You think, where does this come from? So building that sort of thing in was really important. And like with a lot of the sort of testing phase or the beta phase, it's like the little nuances and sound bites that we want to be baked into these custom GPTs don't come out until someone else tests it because we're too close to it. And so
Mhm.
it's important to have that little bit of beta testing part.
Yeah.
And that part just only came with experience. It was like, oh yeah, I learned that. And just I think always be open to learning and open for like a little bit of criticism, I suppose, delivered in the right way, obviously. But you don't know until you start doing it, really.
Did you have the client test it themselves or like I'm sure you were like testing as well? I think that's what I needed. Like, hey, and I can't help but share my experience, right? Because I think it was a
Of course.
learning lesson. Of course, as I do the client work, like make it even 10,000 times worse in my head. But like, I think I needed to be like, hey, schedule 4 hours, like not really 4 hours, but schedule 2 hours to go through this and walk through different examples and like the bad one and the good one.
Absolutely. Like that was the thing that's where it got from there to here or whatever, here to there, is that it has been through all this trial and error and being open to going, actually, I think I can create this thing. Are you open for it? And it was like,
Okay.
yeah, I did it and it was amazing. And then, learned that I handed over this GPT and then she had no idea even how to use GPTs. Or now we've done this so many times. It's like she'd had no experience with ChatGPT before and didn't know how to do the prompting. Or this other client was like really good with ChatGPT, but did it in this other way. So then that's why I like to back up with this part of you. If you're selling this digital product to other front facing clients, make sure that they have this sort of baseline thing. This is how you use it on a little Loom video and a
Mm,
nice little package for them to have front facing to their clients. And then you to have it for your client to say, this is how to get the best results for it, for this
yeah.
thing that I made, like how to use your tool.
And I think I feel like I'm roasting myself. Give them a timeline. You have 7 days, like, to review,
Yeah.
right? Like, you have 7 days. I was in the middle of a launch, so it was, like,
Yeah.
not like, I should have thought about it, but, like, in the beginning, I wasn't a client you should work with. Like, make sure your client has time to invest in that. And maybe, like, that's a case where, like, Sarah, you have, like, the ongoing client where you know each other well. Maybe it's not even an issue because you know them so well.
Yeah, but like how refreshing is it that even like at your expert level, Emily, that you're still always like learning? No, you really are. Like we learn from you all the time, but like that is what this podcast is about, isn't it? So that we can like help other unicorns be better unicorns. And like, you know, that was like a new skill that you'd had of creating GPTs for your client. So it's all just about, this is what it's all about, I think. So I think thanks for sharing that with us.
I have a lot of thoughts on that too, but it's like, it's almost worse when your client does know. Like, I almost prefer the clients that don't know. That's why I have to laugh at myself. But like, it goes back to what we were talking about, all of you, the time saving. Like, you need a body double and this will help, but you do have to have the initial time to onboard, to test, and to deploy. Sara, what do you have thoughts on this?
Yeah, I love what Suze was saying about having like giving them the loom and having them be prepared. And I want to just build on that a little bit too from like beginning when you were saying with the onboarding, Emily. I think like setting the expectations for our clients to know that like AI is not like magic, it's a mirror, right? So whatever we're going to put in, we're going to get out and we're going to keep improving that and like helping them just set that expectation. And then the other thing I would say is that like what I've given my clients and what I've taken from my copywriting work is giving them like a guide to good feedback. So when they're giving me feedback, it's like, here's what is helpful, productive feedback, which is going to make this mirror better. And that we can actually improve and here's what it doesn't look like so that we can actually be more efficient on both ends with our time so they can give me back what I need and I can actually take something from what they're sharing and make that improvement.
Oh my God, I'm glad you said that. And I see copywriters do this the best with their copy process, but the GBT process was difficult. It was like, well, where do I do it? How do I say it? Like, I didn't have those guidelines. So I am learning through this process with you all. It was hard to be like, well, this is a weird response and this is a weird response. It's like, I couldn't just reply to a loom. It was so much more than that. So God, that's really rock solid to bring that up. Traci, do you have thoughts about it?
The only thing I was gonna say is a lot of my reviewing, they don't ever go on to ChatGPT. So, like, they'll either use Telegram or Pinecone or Slack or ClickUp or whatever their choice of platform is that they're using, and that's when they try out, like, the entire system. And so they never have to actually get on a ChatGPT or anything like that. So they're seeing the end results. And so some of my loom is more like, hey, just go here and this is how it's going to click up and it's going to go here. And then they tell me if the messaging is correct or anything like that. And then I go in and readjust any of the verbiage in GPT or Grok or wherever I use wherever we needed to use it. So,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no,
and
that
it's
makes sense.
different on my reviewing.
Cool. Any thoughts on like getting testimonials on this kind of work? Because I could see, I could see the client that's like, and we talked about it a little bit, like how do you put an ROI into the work that you just did? Like we talked about calculating the time saved. Like, is there any other insight that you have to share?
I asked them how much time they were using, like, on such a project, and then how much time it's taking them after I've implemented it, and or
Yeah.
they've implemented it really when I'm done, like the 18 hours versus the 1 hour a week. So that's what I look for. And then with a lot of the analytics and stats and all that, you can kinda get the pricing and find numbers eventually. I found that it takes about 6 months to actually see that okay, this is your ROI. This is what we're getting each month. And it usually is about 6 months. So it's kind
Yeah.
of nice because it's pretty quick return in a way.
Yeah. And like you're setting the expectation and then, gathering that data, like the 18 hours in your intake form or in the project kickoff, get them before. We always kind of forget to get them before
Yes.
we're really good at
Yes.
it.
Definitely.
My gosh, this is
Before, because then they'll be like, "Oh, I didn't use that much time." And it's like, "I know you're lying to me." Because they
remember you
kinda
crying.
say how important it is, and it's like, "Okay, no, I know that's wrong." So, definitely
Oh my
have to
gosh.
take form.
This is so insightful. I love these conversations where we get to learn insight to like building the work, delivering the work, because that's a big part of it, communicating the value. Have any of you learned any, I don't know, I'm going to put this out there, like crazy lessons in doing this for a client that like you would like someone never to repeat again?
I didn't do the 30-day thing first, which is why it's come out, and it was just like I felt like I delivered it, it was done, and then had to go back. And I feel like literally everything that I've done that I do now is because I learned not to just hand things over. Like I do the Loom video because I didn't do that before and needed it, you know?
Yeah.
I created the launch assistant GPT for myself because I was wasting time, you know? I tested it with my friends first. They didn't get it without like, so that they didn't get the Loom video, you know? So they were like, I don't get this. And then I was like, oh, it's easy. So it made sense to me. But when I was just
Yeah.
like, try this thing out, they were like, what? What do you want me to do with this? You know? So I think that sort of feedback and the testing counts for a lot. And talking to our friends, like using the work group in that way. Like I've made some really awesome friends with the work group. And we meet every month just like to talk about everything, life and work group nerding out stuff. So or marketing assistant stuff and test each other's stuff. So that we can have that, you know?
You just like fast tracked it for anyone listening. So thank you, like all of you. This has been so helpful, so insightful. I'm proud of all the work you're doing. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm going to put links to all of your businesses in the show notes. If anyone's listening and like, hey, my client needs this, we have unicorns who can build AI agents for you, custom GPTs, and then tag us on social media and let us know what you're going to be able to implement right away from this show. So I hope everyone's feeling encouraged. In the next episode, we're going to talk to other workgroup members who have built GPTs for their own business because we all struggle with our own marketing. And again, everything we talked about today applies to ourselves when it comes to saving time, not overthinking, not doing things at the last minute and all of that. So I'm really curious what people have come up with. I do have one last question, and this is like self-serving. Are you building the GBTs in your own accounts? Are you building it in your clients? I guess that was one tactical thing I think somebody would ask me. And if you think of anything else I left off, like just add to this closing.
I have them in both. So I have some clients that they don't wanna have to remember another new password or anything like that. So I have a fee so that they're paying for the fee of it, basically. And then I have some clients that have their own everything. So I have this mentality where I'm here to help make everything simple for the client. So I'm going to do whatever is easiest for them. And I'm still being compensated appropriately for it. So I don't care if it's in mine or if it's in theirs. So it's just kind of what my clients are asking me to do.
Yeah. It's like their project management tool. If they're not going to use one or they're married to one, like we can't force them.
Exactly. So I just kind of go with whatever. And I'm not going to say, oh, well, I'm not going to do something for you just because you don't want to have a password. That just seems silly to me.
Yeah. Katia, I bet you're with your retainer client, you're probably building it inside their account.
With custom GPTs, I'm building within mine and sharing with them. As far as there's a couple that I've been requested to build, which are like have wrappers and like logins and things like that. That's going to be built into their accounts. They'll be
Okay.
handling that. So it depends. It really depends on what it is, whether it's going to be within just a simple custom GPT, or if it's going to be beyond that. They'll pay for those portions and be in their accounts.
Is there anything you think I missed out that I should add?
I would say that like because of the like trust recession and people having more discernment about how they're spending money and like because I work with coaches, everybody wants more proximity to the coach. They want to feel like they're getting as close to them as possible. So if we're creating things that can like shorten that time, shorten that the know, like, and trust factor, which is what our social media is always trying to create anyways. If we can do that for our clients with a custom GPT, which will get their brain sort of digitized in some way, that helps them create the trust with their, ideal client faster, which then eventually creates more money and all that. And we just want to shorten time, and that's how we can use AI right now.
I think you touched on this. It's like custom GPTs are the new lead magnet that beyond a PDF. Like I have so many, like, because I'm like, oh, I'll download that. Let me check it out. Let me figure out what's happening out there. And I think that's the new thing. And it's like, and you see it in even bigger programs. Like I know like Amy Porterfield has her bot within her stuff. Like, it's just becoming, it's almost a necessity now.
Agree. Traci, what about you?
I was going to say the only thing that I don't think many of us really touched too much on was like the intake form or what to actually ask on the form. I thought initially, oh, these basic questions are going to be good enough. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm calling somebody. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Because it's like, those weren't actually the questions I needed answered. So uh,
Mhm.
having those really detailed intake forms is really important to begin with. So then you don't look so stupid. Like, luckily, it was a retainer client I had, and we'd been working for like 5 years together. So I called him. I'm like, I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm asking you for. So these are the actual questions I need. And they were perfectly fine with it. But I mean, if that was somebody completely new, I'd be so embarrassed. I'd be like, "Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I just charged them this much and I'm asking them for different questions because I didn't know what I was doing, you know?" So that's the
That's
only thing.
why I
They
made fun of
really
myself as the client, right? That's why I made fun of myself as the client. I was like, I was not ready. And so you gotta scoot those people out. But probably having an intake form for this
Mhm.
specific project, not like your general one.
yeah,
But that's, what I do is I assign a specific intake form. So putting thought into that. Awesome. Is there
yeah,
one question that
definitely.
you are like, this is the meatiest question I need to add?
I actually had them give me like a brand guide and their voice and stuff like that. I was like, "Oh, I know enough about their stuff." And then I'm like, "Oh, wait, I don't know anything about anything when it comes to building this." So, even if you've been working with a client for a long time, it's having it like front and center going, "Okay, this is here. This is what we're doing." It's really helpful.
Yes. Yeah. What about you, Sarah?
I was just gonna say that I feel like we touched on it overall, but just the idea that like we don't need to be scared of these changes. And I know that we often can feel like that. I know as a copywriter at first I really was. All these changes doesn't mean our clients won't need us. It just, as you were saying, like it up levels us and allows us to be more strategic with them. And the fact is we create these things for them, which is very strategic. And then they come back and they want to help. And there's still actually opportunity for retainer work and ongoing work with them, but also it frees that client's revenue up. Maybe again, if we're doing like a show notes one or a blog post one, they're not now paying for that. Now they can actually maybe hire us for something else. It's actually more needle moving in their business. So it's not an end of our income, I think, that people are worried about. It's just a different way of growing, and that we can embrace it and still, make great money and still be strategic and actually, again, really like be high level partners for our clients.
Everybody wants the better quality client, right? Like we're all after that sweet spot of like doing good work for good people at rates that feel good. And the fact of the matter is those clients want and need AI and are already embracing it and seeking it out. So all of us are going to go update our services page and add AI into that. And we're going to close out the podcast on that because it was beautiful. Thank you all so much. I'm so proud of the work you've been doing. I hope that you book more work. I hope that other freelancers are referring your names. And this is just the epitome of what we do in the work group. It's helping each other grow our own businesses, getting insight to lessons learned, to how we work with clients, how we deliver to clients. And it means the world that you're so willing to share it with my podcast community. So thank you.